This is Reviews by Colloquy Publishing, and I'm Camille. Now that I've finished reading A Death Worth Living by Trey Stone, it's nighttime. So, the short and the sweet, I loved this book. Top book of 2025. But let's get more into it. First, a spoiler-free summary. A Death Worth Living by Trey Stone tells the story of Jacob, a young man who dies at the age of 20 and is surprised to be greeted by a mysterious figure who calls themselves Aaron. Aaron acts as Jacob's guide, leading him through his memories in a seemingly arbitrary order until they reveal to Jacob that he can change one thing about his life. Armed with a purpose, Jacob tries to navigate the moments of his life in search of the one moment he would do differently. Well, first off, let's talk about my critiques. They were very few. There were some typos, which is to be expected in a small press. This was published by Inked in Gray. And as far as I understand it, they have an extremely small team. So I always give grace, and especially if it doesn't take away from the actual story. There was one artifact paragraph. They clearly made a decision later on in the editing to change Aaron, the guide, from being a he to a they. And I thought it was a great choice because we really weren't supposed to know too much about Aaron. And so I really liked the ambiguity and also the implications that if you've been dead for a while, which we expect Aaron either has been dead or exists in the land of the dead, that gender really just isn't a thing anymore. But there was one paragraph that still said he rather than they. So not going to hold it against them. And then, of course, my biggest critique, it was too short. I wanted it to be so much longer, but I completely understand. It's a novella. Trey chose not to write a super long book, and I can get that. In a story like this, where it's very reflective, sometimes if you go on too long, it can get a little bit preachy. So, good choice. Yeah, just now I want to read it all over again. And I'm. Well, let's just go into what I loved. All right. So it gave me all the feels. I legitimately cried for one of the scenes. It just reminded me so much of a incident in my childhood with my younger brother. And then even it made me laugh sometimes. It really made me feel for the characters, and then feel, of course, how insert myself into the story. Actually, I'm going to add one that I hadn't even put into my notes. I was able to insert myself without Jacob being a audience surrogate. You know, he has his own personality, has his own thoughts and feelings and experiences. I mean, the story wouldn't be good if it wasn't. But a lot of times, stories where you are meant to insert yourself, they can sometimes smooth over the edges of a character, and I don't think Trey did that at all. The detailed scenes felt universal, which was, again, that's a mark of a really good writer, that you can take a scene that has so many details that are very specific. Trey put in his foreword that most of the characters and all of the scenes, I'd have to reread it again, but at least, a good, let's go with 70% of this book is completely autobiographical. Yeah, so the details of the scenes didn't take away from it being a universal feeling. Yeah, and then my final thing I loved is that I think this is a very rereadable book. I don't reread a whole lot of books. I don't have time for it. a lot of times the joy is taken out of it now that I know how it ends. And I don't think that's going to be true for this book. So come back a year from now and I will reread this book at the start of the fall season. And I'll let you know if it really is worth that, like having a yearly reread. Trey Stone, you can find him at trey-stone.com, and that's trey-stone.com. You can also go and check out Inked in Gray. They have a lot of great titles, and they're at Inked, INKED, ingray.com, and that's all one word. Trey Stone has 8 books out. His psychological thriller At the Gate is one of his most recent books. As for Colloquy Publishing, please go check out the trilogy, The Underground Narratives. The latest one, Have a Black Heart of Gold, is out now, and that completes the trilogy, but you can read them in any order. And we can now announce that we are hard at work at a solar punk novel. We will be announcing a Kickstarter pretty soon to start raising funds to be able to publish this book. But anyways, more about that in the future. Keep an eye out and visit us at colloquypublishing.com. Thanks for joining me for this read and review. I hope you had a cozy time. Now go support an indie author.